love, and light. Welcome back to another segment of Cash Flow Checks. I am your host, King, Professor Payne L. And today we have with me the co-host, Dominic Ezih. I'll go ahead and let him plug himself in right now.
I'm Dominic from Africa, particularly from Nigeria. I'm passionate about African history. I wrote a book titled 100 True Beauties in Africa, where the aim is to expose the beautiful culture of Africa, talking about the African history, African culture, the perspective of Africans, mainly on how we review gods, how we view the goddesses and gods, how they participate in human daily living, the great kings and queens who existed in Africa, some great Pan-Africans, Obafemi Awolowo, Kwame Nkrumah, Julius Nyerere, and so on, talking about the feeding habit of Africans, some of the great techniques employed by Africans, and so on. This book is self-exposing and self-explanatory.
Most definitely, most
Just,
definitely. I actually got a chance to actually go ahead and take a brief snippet look at it. It is on Amazon and also Kindle, correct?
yeah.
Okay, yep. I was able to actually go ahead and look at it and, dissect a few different chapters. It does go over the different deities within Africa, breaking down the history, the rich heritage of Africa. And it's very, very, I would say, critical right now for us to actually start being able to see the visions of Africa in different places across the world for, its true value, its true beauty. Because I feel like Africa does get discredited a lot of times, especially on the Western side of things, but just being able to open up a lot more light on the actual facts. So I want to go ahead and start asking you a few questions. Pretty much, where did you get your motivation for the actual inception of 100 True Beauties of Africa?
Actually, I got my motivation from the fact that most biases against Africans, stating that Africans had no culture, Africans had no way of life. We do not reason just because it was believed that the era of slavery and colonization brought culture to Africa. However, I decided to write this book to dispute the fact that Africans had a culture, we had a way of life before slavery, before colonization. In fact, our system was so rich that neighboring cities, neighboring countries, people from Greece, from other European countries had to come to Africa to learn about the beauty of Africa. We were talking about the beautiful Benin Empire, how they developed the arts, the Akan culture, the Egyptian civilization, the Kenyan culture, and whatever. This book was written so that all those who don't really know about the African culture can know about African culture and get a first-hand information about the beauties of Africa.
No excuses, no excuses.
Mm.
So, what are some ways you think that your book will help guide other people just across the globe? Because it's really and truly can be impacted to anybody across the world.
Firstly, to make anybody who comes across the book realize that every culture is unique. There's no culture that is barbaric. There's no culture that is stale. Every culture is evolving. And
That's correct.
anyone who comes across this book will realize that African culture has always been evolving and African culture is beautiful. Anyone who comes across this book will realize that African culture is unique. Taking from the fact that we will realize that Africans have their feeding habits and we just don't copy everything from the West. We have that which is unique to us. Also, like our dress culture, where if you see a Zulu man from South Africa, you will know that this is a Zulu man because of the way he dresses. If you see a Kenyan woman from the Maasai tribe, you will know that this is a woman from the Maasai tribe because of the way she dresses. So anyone who comes across this book will be able to point you and an African, not just because of your black, but because of
Wow.
your race or your culture.
Yes. Wow. Very rich. I like it. I like it. I like it. We need those cultural ties again. We need those cultural ties. And I think that everybody right now is actually being able to realize the wealth that is within Africa. 'Cause I know Akon, he's basically out there trying to revamp it, working deals with other entities, trying to make things happen to actually get the actual true worth of Africa out there to other individuals. Um, I did want to ask you, one of the biggest things that I know a lot of people just don't know about Africa and just the way that we think, our minds being on two different,
Mm.
sides of the world. How do you think that Eastern East Africans view the deities, like within chapter 100 of your book, Gods and Goddesses, Nana Bluku, Baluku, correct?
Yes.
Okay, Baluku. How do you think most East Africans view God overall, as opposed to the Western civilization? How do they actually label God on the Eastern side?
Most East Africans and West Africans, there is one similarity. We all accept the fact that there is a God who participates in our daily living. However, there are some differences in the way they approach their God. For instance, in some West African countries, it is believed that God has to participate in our daily living 100%. But in some East African nations where they believe that God can participate, but it has to be a 70-30, where God participates and we participate. If we are not willing to accept God, God does not come in. That is how most East Africans believe God. But for some
Yes.
West Africans, it is believed that it can be dormant, it might not be active, but God is always participating in your life. For instance, you might decide not to go out to farm, not to go out to do your business, but you realize that you still have food in your family because God always participates and ensures that you do not hungry. But in some East African countries, if you do not go out to make your daily bread, you will go hungry, even if you believe that there is a God. So there is some similarity and difference in the way God is being looked at.
Hmm. I like it. I like it. I believe that's the more spiritual side of approach, as to how it relates to God and how individuals actually see it over
Mm,
there. Because over here, they, pretty much underline it under one supreme being that's intangible. They can't see it, but
mm,
they realize that something outside of themselves is controlling everything around them. They just can't
mm,
put, I think, the finger on what's actually allowing them to manifest within their lives the things that they want, or
mm,
how to actually use that thing, the force, the one, the supreme,
mm,
within ourselves to actually help guide us every single day throughout our lives. So a lot of people lose confidence along the way. I do know that, just from like personal experiences, witnessing people maybe who have committed suicide. You never know what might be going on in their minds because of the lack
mm,
of information that is out there about
mm,
the true history and legacy
mm,
of themselves.
mm,
So whenever you start to realize what God is and where your heritage is, and being able to add up those two things, with civics and history, you get the legacy. Okay, so
mm,
the history of Africa is allowing us to put together the mystery, and being able to equate what we are, where we came from. Just for most of the people the laymen that are out there who still don't know exactly how this type of energy or themselves work.
mm,
You know what I mean?
mm,
Because you could lose yourself if you don't know yourself, really and
mm,
truly, at the end of the day.
mm,
So I want to ask you, now that you finish your book, what do you think is going to be next for you after being able to pull apart the 100 beauties of Africa, the true beauties of Africa? What's next for you, as far as just trying to reveal to the world more of these secrets and history of Africa?
After this, my aim is to continue doing more works for propagating the beauties of Africa, try to do more research, bringing some sensitive cultural topics where we discuss issues
Makes
on
sense.
women, issues on gender, issues on culture, issues on religion. All these are affected to Africans. So these are sensitive topics that keeps on evolving, keeps on affecting the human race. These are topics that we need to address not just as
ASAP.
Africans but as humans. So these are topics I want to delve more into.
Yes, yes. And especially like getting a hold of the content and the media. I believe that, by you being able to write a book and put your name out there in the
Mm,
actual, I would say, intellectual property
mm,
for other
mm,
people to actually see what it is
mm,
that people from a different part of the world who actually live
mm,
there and experience it every
mm,
day view it is very powerful. And with everything with the electronics, 5G warfare, and just overall, just domination and greed for technology, being able to have a book in hand to actually spread the knowledge is way more esoteric in nature. It's going to go a whole lot further, throughout your career, and allow you to like develop quicker, as a producer. So with that being said, I want people to know that, this book does entail a whole lot of I would say essential knowledge that is needed for a person to know their true heritage, especially if you're of the African genome, the African background, just to know about the different deities, how we are connected as one, just more from the foundational principle setting. Because one of the things that I don't know, you probably do know about Burna Boy, correct?
I know Burna Boy.
Okay, you do?
Yeah, I know. I know
Okay,
him.
okay, yep. So in one of his videos, he actually put out, before
Yes,
you were
yes,
anything else, you are African. So no matter
yes.
what label that any individual tries to put on you across the world, regardless of where you come from, Africa in general is just a name, and an English name that was given to a place. You can call it whatever you want to, but it's the mother, is the birthhood of all civilization. No matter what label you want to put on it, but the
Mm,
same people that originated from these places had a certain, I would say, practice of principles within their lives that founded the pillars for us all to still be here today, and to keep passing on these legacies, this rich history. People can look at, certain groups of people and know that they are rich because their culture is rich, and other people, they want to, be able to lean and uh pull slavery out of it, use it
mm,
for the wrong things. And they've confused people with money of exchange, the gold and silver, so the actual value within the earth,
mm,
for money of account, just
mm,
corporations, greed,
mm,
the policies, legalese.
mm,
So we're trapped between two different worlds and trying to comprehend them at the
mm,
same time. But this is the
mm,
artificial world, being the paper world, the corporate side, legal fictions that we don't comprehend really, and the other side being the actual history, the land, where we come from, our principles, how we carry out our life, the money of exchange, not the money of
mm,
account. So now when
mm,
we start to put the two together, we start to
mm,
comprehend the system that we're actually
mm,
engulfed in. You know what I mean?
mm,
So once you get the true background history on how you're supposed to govern your life, the actual laws of God, the true history, the true legacies, you can go ahead and plug yourself in. I'm gonna let them know. Tell them where the book can be found one more time, and where they can actually reach you at on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Okay, like you can reach mainly the book on Amazon. I'm trying to reshape it, but mainly I want to make it on print form. That is my goal. You can find me on
Most definitely.
Instagram as AfricaforDubem, AFRAICA for Dubem, DUBEM. You can find me on Twitter, Africa4Dubem_1. You can find me on YouTube, Africa4Dubem. These are my handles. Follow me, chat me, DM me. Where we discuss sensitive topics.
Most definitely. Most
Thanks.
definitely. And I do want to give you one more shout out, because you're doing a lot of work. You've been doing it for years. I've known this individual, for years now. And, what he keeps bringing to the table is just information and facts on top of facts on top of facts. And just to realize that even though a lot of people on the western side of the world take, I would say, acceptance to their time and use it in intangible ways, to waste it tacitly. However you want to just waste their time a little bit. But I know over in your side, you guys have to wait to actually even get power, correct? To actually, is it 9 hours and 9.5 hours per day that you guys utilize power for?
Sometimes. Yes,
Sometimes.
sometimes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But I just want to go ahead and point that out. A lot of your efforts, man, they don't go
Mm,
unnoticed. I keep
mm,
watching, keep posting for me. I learn a
mm,
lot with it, and it allows me to have more resources for my tool
mm,
bag. All right. With that being
mm,
said, peace, love, and light. Thank you guys for tuning in once again to another episode of Cashflow Checks. I'm your host.
mm.
I'm out. Peace.